Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to talk about the new moon happening in the sign of Taurus on May 19th or 20th, 2023. The date and time can vary depending on your location. So for this video, I am primarily going to focus on Western tropical astrology, and then towards the end of the video, I will talk about this moon and its placement in Vedic astrology. So let's get started. A new moon is when the sun and the moon are together. That's a new moon, and this is happening in the sign of Taurus, right at 28 degrees. New moons generally represent new energy coming in, a point of new starts, new initiations, right? So that's what a new moon is, generally speaking, and this is in the sign of Taurus. Taurus is the sign associated with finances, right? It's a financial sign. So on a collective global level, it can represent finances, and it can also represent our personal finances in our individual lives. So Taurus is primarily a financial sign, but it also has other things associated with it, things like your self-worth, what you value, that sort of thing, right? So these are the big themes that can be highlighted with this new moon. Now, if you know your charts, look for 28 degrees of Taurus. That particular house, that area of your life will be impacted by this moon. If you don't know your charts, that's perfectly fine as well. Now, let's talk about the aspects that are going on, because the aspects will color the energy of the moon, and this moon is a very, very powerful one, right? So let's talk about the aspects one by one, and then I want to talk about something extremely important that's going on in the chart as well. So the first thing is that the moon is in a trine with Pluto, right? A positive 120-degree angle with Pluto. This is Pluto. Although it's in Aquarius, right, at 0 degrees, it is still making a 120-degree angle. And Pluto is the planet of change and transformation and endings and beginnings. And for a while now, we've been in this energy, right? This energy which is about change, which is about old things ending, new things beginning. It's a transition, right? We've been in this transitional energy for a while, and it continues with this moon as well, right? So that's an important thing. But the last new moon we had was a solar eclipse and was in the sign of Aries, 29 degrees of Aries, and that was in a challenging aspect to Pluto. This one is not in a challenging aspect to Pluto, and what that can mean is that maybe the changes that started to take place, the transitions, the endings, the beginnings, a month ago or so, felt a little challenging, right? Felt a little stressful aspect with Pluto. Maybe required a lot of effort and, desire and willingness to change on our end. But this one is not as challenging as the last new moon, which was in the sign of Aries. There is that big theme, that broad theme of transition, of endings, of beginnings, of new things, of old things going away. But it's more like we're kind of used to it now, right? The first step, which is usually the hardest, was made last month with the new moon and Aries solar eclipse. So that's the aspect to Pluto, and this means that theme is still on. Now, the other aspect that we're getting is a positive sextile from Mars. This is Mars, and it is sextiling the moon almost exact. Now, Mars is the planet of action and initiative. So what this means is that maybe it's easier for us to move forward now, right? Mars is supporting action. Mars is supporting forward movement. So maybe at this point, it might feel slightly easier for us to make that change, to move forward, to take that action than say it was about a month ago or so. Now, the other thing I want to mention is this. Yes, we did have the new moon solar eclipse on, I think it was 20th April, right? And this is the eclipse that I've been talking about, the new moon and Aries solar eclipse, which felt challenging, which might have required us to, stir up some courage, some strength to make changes. But a day, 2 days after that eclipse, right, Mercury went retrograde. Now, this is important because we had this big energy come in a month ago about let's change, let's start new things, let's end old things, right? We were kind of required to take that first step back then. But then with Mercury going retrograde, it might have felt like, okay, I've started this thing, but since then it might have felt slightly stagnant, not necessary, might have, right? But now, as we are at this point, Mercury is now direct. It went direct about 5 days ago, right? 4 5 days ago, again, depending on your location. And what that means is that maybe it'll feel easier for us to fully step into the change that's been going on, that will go on for a while. So I just wanted to mention that. And another thing that I wanted to mention is that Jupiter now, let me show this. Jupiter now is in Taurus, right? We have Jupiter in Taurus. It entered the sign of Taurus on May 16th after 12 years, right? Jupiter enters a sign after 12 years. So after 12 years, it's entered the sign of Taurus. Now, if you have a lot of Taurus in your chart, you might want to pay attention to this because Jupiter is in your sign now. Jupiter is the planet of blessings, of gifts, rewards, and lessons. But coming back to Jupiter at 0 degrees of Taurus, to get to 0 degrees of Taurus, it did cross 29 degrees of Aries, which is where we had the new moon solar eclipse last month, right? And what that means is that Jupiter has crossed that point, it has activated that point in some way. So maybe Jupiter expands things. So maybe now, in the past few days, we've been feeling more of an expansion with whatever changes, transitions, endings, beginnings began to happen maybe a month ago. So these were the few things I wanted to touch upon, and a few more things, and then we'll talk about another extremely important thing that's going on. Now, another aspect that's going on is that Neptune is sextiling the moon as well. Neptune is a spiritual planet. It's a creative planet. It can bring confusion as well. But this is a positive aspect. So what this can mean is that maybe whatever the new is, whatever the changes that are happening, whatever is going on, is maybe in alignment with our spirituality, right? Maybe we feel like, okay, yeah, I feel this is right for me. That sort of feeling can happen with Neptune. Now let's talk about the important thing that I wanted to discuss. So we have an extremely important alignment going on around the time of this moon, right? And what's going on is that we have the south node Ketu. One sec. Okay, we have the south node Ketu, the north node Rahu, Mars, Pluto, making 90-degree angles, right? We're in a grand cross, and it's not just the north node there. I'll show you, right? We have the north node with Jupiter. Mercury is there too. Now, this is an extremely important alignment that's going on, and the nodes are karmic, right? The nodes are karmic. They're destiny points. They bring in this energy of things being fated, of things being karmic, of things being destined. They're the nodes of the moon. And Mars, like I said, is the planet of action. Pluto is the planet of change and transformation. And Pluto square the nodes is something we've been talking about for a while now. This is about change that can feel destined and karmic, right? And it is going to keep building till the month of July. But this, I feel, is an important gateway. This entire few days, right? This moon, the days little prior to this, the days after, it's like a gateway. It's like a big transition that's happening, because this aspect is extremely karmic and it involves Pluto, right? A big energy, heavy planet, and Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius, right? A new energy that we are just starting to feel. Pluto changed signs after 15 years, and it also has Jupiter there, another big, heavy energy, right? So very karmic. Mars is there too. So this to me means it's a big moment that can really bring changes, right? It can be a gateway into the changes that are going to build up. So this is also about the transformation that we've been speaking about for a while now. And I can't emphasize how important this gateway is, right? The new moon is there, important, yes, but this is the alignment, the configuration that is going to make us, change tracks, maybe, finally fully step into the change we've been trying to make for a while. It's a gateway point, right? This configuration, I cannot stress this enough. That's a highlight, that's something to watch out for, that's something to be mindful of. So that's what I wanted to speak about, and let's see if I've missed out on anything. No, I don't. I think I've covered the most important things. Yes, there are a few other things going on in the chart, right? We have Mars here making a positive aspect with Neptune as well, and this can mean it's easier for us to take action, move forward when we feel fully in alignment with our spiritual path, right? When we feel like, yeah, this is my calling, yeah, this feels right, yeah, intuitively in my gut, I feel like I should do this, then maybe it'll get easier to take action. We also have Mars entering the sign of Leo on May 20th, right? So very soon it is going to change signs, and Mars is a very fiery planet, I would say, and Leo is a fire sign, right? So a lot of fire. So we'll have Mars in Leo starting May 20th, and I did talk about Mercury, that Mercury was retrograde until May 14th or 15th. The date could have varied depending on your location, and now it's direct. And with Mercury direct now, if we felt a slowdown in communication, if we felt like things are not moving forward as fast as I'd like them to, then that slowness might ease up because Mercury is now direct. Mercury retrogrades are generally a time of review and reflection. So whatever we had to review in our personal lives, whatever we had to reflect on, that's we've done that, right? We've done that work. Now it's time to move forward with all the reflection, with all the review that we did. So that's the moon in a nutshell. And now let's talk about Vedic astrology. So in Vedic astrology, this is happening in the sign of Taurus at 4 degrees, which falls in the nakshatra of Kritika. Now in Vedic astrology, there is something known as nakshatras or lunar mansions. Now these are smaller divisions of a sign with their own meaning, own ruler, own interpretation. And this one is falling in the nakshatra or lunar mansion of Kritika. This nakshatra is a very fiery nakshatra. It's to do with cutting things. It represents sharp objects, right? So that's what this nakshatra represents. So what this can mean to me is that it can be about cutting things out of our lives, or just, cutting something that's not serving us anymore. It's about being very decisive in a way, right? Because when we're cutting something out, it's about deciding to do that. So that's an important theme with this nakshatra. This nakshatra is also to do with research and investigation in some ways. And in the Taurus part, because this nakshatra spans over Aries and Taurus, in the Taurus part of this nakshatra, things like finances and wealth are also magnified, right? So that's where this moon is happening in Vedic astrology in the nakshatra of Kritika, which is about cutting things out, which is about maybe being extremely decisive and with a focus in the Taurus part on finances. So I hope this video was useful in some way, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.